How many things are on your bucket list? What kind of things do you have on your bucket list? Whatever it is that's on your bucket list, I'll make you bet you have something in common with millions of other people. And that's you keep putting it off. You keep saying, well, I am going to do that someday. Maybe when I retire, or when I have more money, or when things settle down, or I'm not so stressed out, or there's always an excuse, right? There's always something you have to wait before you begin doing whatever it is that's on your bucket list. Well, on this channel, I'm trying to give encouragement, not just to people like you guys, but to myself. I'm trying to hold myself accountable to do the things that I want to do. For me, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I want to go to Italy. And I want to go to Italy with enough money to enjoy it. And I want to go to Italy being conversant when I get off the plane. And we'll see. You know, I'm working on it. All this week I've been looking for part-time jobs. So just the fact that I'm doing this channel, it's helping me stick to my guns and say, you're going to do this because you're telling all these people you're going to do it. So let's see what you're doing towards it. So I'm working on my finances, working on my Italian skills, working on my walking because I can't walk very far. And if you're going to go someplace like Italy, you're going to have walking tours. So I'm trying to work on things, and I want to try and help you while you're helping me. So let's look at a couple of steps towards making your bucket list a reality. Number one, this is going to sound strange. You need to stop thinking of your bucket list as a list. It should be more of a map of the life that you want to experience. Sounds weird, doesn't it? Let me give you an example. There's a big difference between saying, I want to go to France, and saying, I want to take a 2-week trip to Paris where I'm going to take cooking classes, I'm going to visit a lot of small towns, I'm going to eat some amazing food, and I'm going to practice my French. The second one gives you something to work towards. It's not just some pie-in-the-sky idea that you have. So take your bucket list and think about why you want to do this. I always talk about that. Whether it's trying to quit drinking, whether it's fixing your finances and getting out of debt, they always tell you the same thing. You have to think about what your why is. I'm going to tell you the same thing. Why do you want to do it? And there's no wrong answer to that. You know, it might just be because this is something you've always wanted to do since you were young. Or it might be you just want to have an adventure. You want to do something new. Or, in my case in point, I want to prove to myself that I can do it. You know, I've spent my life listening to naysayers telling me, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. And I always said to myself, yeah, you think I can't do it? Watch me. Watch me. I'm going to do it. You think I can't go to law school? I'm going to law school. You think I can't raise a child by myself and open up a law practice at the same time? Watch me. You think I can't go to Rio de Janeiro by myself at the tender age of 22? Watch me. I just bought a ticket. You think I can't start a YouTube channel? I didn't even tell my kids because, that would have been, first of all, the eldest would have thought it was so embarrassing. Oh my God, my mother, this is mortifying. Nobody else has a mother with a YouTube channel. Why does my mother have to have a YouTube channel? The other one, the younger one, it would have been, oh, my mother, she wants to be an influencer. I don't want to be an influencer. I just wanted to have something to do. I retired last year and I'm bored to tears and I wanted something to do and I know all about immigration. I was an immigration attorney for 40 years. I said I'll start a channel about immigration. The whole point of asking you what your why is that if you understand what your why is, you're much more likely to make it happen. If it's just kind of, boy, I would love to do X, well, what are your chances of making that happen? But if you say, I really want to do X because blah, 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 it doesn't really matter what your why is, but once you understand what your why is, it gives you more of an impetus. It, it gives you more of a push to actually do the thing, to at least start making some steps towards doing it, which is something we're going to talk about. So you have to make a distinction between what your dreams are and what your plans are. Because, in my ever so humble opinion, plans have steps. How do I say this? You don't just want to say, well, I want to go to Greece. You have to have a game plan as to, well, how you're going to make that happen. And it starts with your first little baby step. It might be, well, what's the best time of year to visit Greece? Do some research, put that, number one, what's the best time of year to visit Greece? And that way you have an idea. Well, am I going to go in June or am I going to go in September? You'll have a date in your mind. You don't have to book the flight. You don't have to have the entire vacation planned out. But you at least are going to know when you want to do this. And I think it goes without saying that your bucket list should be as specific as possible. Don't just say, I want to travel. Say, I want to go to X. I want to go see 3 national parks next summer. And those national parks are blank, blank, and blank. It's pitiful I can't name 3 national parks. I couldn't even name one. But anyway, you want to be specific. So you want to be specific. You want to put a date on it, okay? Like I was talking about the Greece thing. You want to have a specific time of year or month. Even better if you can zone in and say, well, I want it to be July, but it has to be the beginning of July because my son's birthday is the end of July and I want to be home for that. As specifically as you can, pick a date. Don't book the flight, just pick the date. And then in what I did for this whole Italy trip is that I sat down and I thought, what are all the things that I have to fix before I could take this trip? One was money. I'm living on Social Security. That's not good. That's not going to get me a trip to Italy, that's for sure. I'm going to have to get a part-time job, which that's what I was doing all week, applying to jobs. Don't love the idea of having to get a part-time job at the tender age of 68, but it's not forever, and it's for this particular purpose. So I thought I have to get some more money, so I'm going to have to get a part-time job. I have to get better health. I have to be able to eat better. I have to lose some weight. I'm too much. I need to lose some weight, and that'll make things easier for me to be able to exercise and walk. I have to get into walking because if that's what I'm going to do, if I'm going to take this trip, there are going to be full-day excursions on this school trip that I'm looking at. They have one full day excursion and one half day excursion, and like one of them is to go to Pompeii. I've always wanted to see Pompeii, right? But I know that's a lot of walking. So I can't just think, well, maybe they'll have a wheelchair for me. Hell no, I want to be able to walk. That means I have to start today. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes tomorrow, 10, 15 minutes. Get it up to a half hour. Even just a half hour walk a day is going to put me it's going to put me miles ahead of where I am right now. So you have to start doing it today. So I thought, I need my money, I need to get my weight under control, I need to start exercising more, and I need to start practicing my Italian because I really let that lapse. I was doing pretty good a few years ago, and now I can't remember past tense at all. So I have to practice my Italian. It's like, oh my God, how are you going to do all that? It's like, it doesn't have to do. I'll give you one example of something that I've just, sometimes you have to change things because you plan to do this, but that's just not working out. And I'll give you one example of that. I had put down, I have a list of chores that I do every day. It's just kind of, little things I have to do around the house. I have to clean the kitty litter. I have to make dinner. I have to do the dishes, whatever. But one of the things I put on that list was I want 45 minutes of Italian every day. Well, as I mentioned, I was doing other stuff. I'm looking for a job, and I was making dinner, which instead of eating out, which is good. But those 45 minutes of Italian, I was not doing it. I was not doing it. And I finally decided a few days ago, I said, you know what? Change that from 45 minutes of Italian to 5 minutes of Italian. You're going to do 5 minutes of Italian a day. This is for me, right? Because I already know myself that if I start getting into it, then that 5 minutes can easily become 10 or 15 or 20 minutes. I mean, 2 years ago, I was doing at least an hour of Duolingo a day. I hated Duolingo, but it did keep me focused on studying Italian. So I know myself. I'll start with 5 and then I'll lose track of time. And I'll be working in the workbooks, or I'll sit down, I'll say, well, I'm going to write a little essay for my friend Frank, who helps me with the Italian. And before you know it, I can have 45 minutes in. But I won't do it if I start with 45 minutes. You have to do 45 minutes. I won't do it. So I changed my expectation from 45 minutes to just 5. Just 5. So you have to sit down, make a plan, but make a plan that's reasonable for you. Nobody knows you better than you. Another step that you can take is to start a bucket list fund. Money is one of the biggest reasons that people postpone their dreams, right? But sometimes the problem isn't that we don't have enough money. It's that we don't have it set aside for this particular purpose. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't, well, I'm going to need $4,000 for this. That's what I think I'm going to need. I'm going to need about 4,000. But if I have 2 years to put that together, I sat down and figured out, okay, if I'm going to need 4,000 by such and such a month, that gives me how many months? I went up on the date calculator you can get on Google or online, and figured out how many months is that between today and the date when I leave. How many months is that? And then I figured out, okay, if it's so many months, let's say it's 24 months. So it's 24 months, you divide 4,000 by 24, and you come up with that number that you need to have. Every month I need to set aside X amount of money. It's very simple, Now, for me, I haven't quite done it yet because I haven't gotten that part-time job yet. But believe me, with that first paycheck, one of the things I'm going to do is set up a separate account. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I think what I'm going to do, I have my account, my banking is with Citizens, right? And there's a Wells Fargo close to me, there's a Bank of America close to me. And I think what I'm going to do is open up a small account, one of those, you can open up an account for $50 thing. Open up a small account in one of those 2 banks. Keep it away from the Citizens because they have Saturday morning hours. Every Saturday morning, I'm going to go over there and write a check that gets deposited for $167 and just put it into that account. And that way I don't touch it. I don't look at it as it's like, oh my God, the oil. I have to pay for oil. I haven't paid for oil, and they're not going to deliver me oil. I don't care. That doesn't get touched. Sacrosanct. That fund doesn't get touched. Just let it sit there and let it grow. Because I know if I open up, I can open up like another savings account in Citizens. So I have my checking, my savings, and then another little savings account. But it's too easy for me to transfer the money back and forth. I'm going to echo something about what I just said earlier, where don't make it too crazy. Don't say you're going to do 45 minutes of Italian and then you sabotage yourself. Don't say you're going to put, $200 a week away for this if you don't think you could do it. It could be $25 a week. It could be $50 a week. For me, I know that if I need $4,000 within the next 2 years, I need to put $167 a month away. Well, if that's the situation, that's going to impact what kind of jobs I apply for. I was looking at a job that's $17 an hour. That's not enough. I need either $20 an hour at 25 because I don't want to work full time. But I need about $20 an hour for 25 hours a week, or I need $25 an hour for 20 hours a week. And that's all I'm applying to. I'm not applying to jobs that are going to pay me $17.50. That's not going to cut it for me. And imagine how you're going to feel when, after a couple of weeks or a couple of months and you see, I've got $400 in this account. Great. I've got $500. I've got $600. That's going to make you feel wonderful. And it's going to give you more and more encouragement. At least that's what I'm hoping it's going to do. So here are a couple other suggestions to help you get your bucket list to go from just a list to reality. One of the things you could do is prioritize your list according to easiest to most difficult. Maybe you want to go to see a museum you've never seen before. For instance, I don't live that far from the Pearl Buck Museum. We moved up here in 2007, and I discovered that around 2010. And ever since I discovered it, I wanted to go there. I had read The Good Earth when I was in high school and absolutely loved it. And it's 2026 and I still never have been there. That would be a very easy thing for me to do that's on the bucket list. So pick something easy, like something that's not too expensive. Not the biggest things that you want to do, which is of course what I'm doing with the Italy thing. But I'm already incentivized to do this. So that's okay. If you're trying to get up the oomph to do something, anything on your bucket list, then try to pick three things that are on your list or that you're going to put on your list that are easy to do. Something you could do within the next 30 days. So maybe you want to cook something that you've never cooked before. Believe me, there's 1,000,001 YouTube videos that will teach you how to cook whatever it is you want to cook. Why start with the easy ones, right? It's because success motivates you to do more and more. It creates momentum. When you check something off, it's like you prove it to yourself that I could do this. Well, if I could do this, then I can do the next one, which might be a little bit more intimidating. So start with the easiest ones. Now here's another thing that often throws a wrench into the plans. A lot of times we're waiting for people to do this with. You're waiting for somebody else. I get it that if you're married and you've always wanted to visit the national parks, but your spouse isn't retired yet, I get it that you would wait for her or for him to retire so that the two of you could do it together. Maybe you want to go see a concert, right? Maybe there's somebody that you would really like to see and you know that they're coming to town. Or you find out that they're coming to town because maybe you don't know it. Maybe that's step one, that, when is this person going to be on tour? But you don't want to go to a concert by yourself. Well, guess what? I've gone to concerts by myself. In fact, the first concert I ever went to, I was in ninth grade, and I went to see Buffy St. Marie at the Academy of Music, and I was all by myself. I talked my mother into letting me do that. That's a long story. And then the last concert I went to, I also went to by myself. I went to see the Gypsy Kings, and I begged my kids, one of them, please come with me. Come with me. You like the Gypsy Kings. Come on, come on. No, 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 no. And I'm like, well, screw it. I'm going by myself because I like the Gypsy Kings, damn it, and I'm going to go see them. And I did. And I think the people, the guy on my left and the guy on my right was like, oh my God, who do we have sitting here? Because I'm singing every song, right? They come out, they come out on stage, and I'm probably about 6 rows up from the front. You know, I'm 6 rows back, right? So I'm fairly close. And they come out, oh, buenas noches, blah, 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 blah. And I yelled out, buenas noches. And one of the guys turned and looked in my direction. I'm like, oh shit, he heard me, right? Because this is like a super white neighborhood. And I'm sure they were thinking there's nobody here that speaks Spanish. Well, I did. And anyway, you know, maybe you, but you're not me. I get it. I have to start talking about you, not me. But I don't have any problem. I've done so many things by myself. I eat out by myself all the time. I've done all this traveling by myself. So I don't have a problem doing that. But a lot of people do. They don't want to go to Paris by themselves. It'd be so much more fun with somebody else. In my opinion, no, it wouldn't. Because if I go by myself, I can do what I want. I can go to the museums I want to go to. I don't have to go out clubbing if I don't want to club at night. You know, I can eat at the restaurants I want to eat. I get to choose everything. I don't mind sitting at a table by myself. You meet more people that way, by the way, just saying. But let's say you need to wait for somebody else. You think you need to wait for somebody else. So since you have this list and you have more than one thing to do, one of the things you could do is just pick one of those things that you don't need to go with somebody else. You don't have to go to a movie with somebody else. You can go by yourself. You can take a class by yourself. Maybe at a community college or something, you could take a class and you're going to meet other people there. Are you going to love all of them? Maybe not. But if you sit there and you say, yo, I really want to take a class about woodworking, and you just see, this is probably a guy thing, and I don't think guys have as big a problem. You know, it's the women that feel like they have to go with a girlfriend or something or else they can't go. But if you have that attitude where I have to go with somebody else or else I can't do it, then you're letting somebody else's life and somebody else's schedule control your life. Maybe that can be a challenge for you. If you're one of these people that always need to have somebody else to go with you, try and do something by yourself. Something as easy as going to a restaurant and eating by yourself. Or go to a movie where you're sitting in the dark and nobody knows you're all by yourself. Take a day trip. You can either drive someplace or you can go with a little group. Find whatever your local Facebook page is for your town or for your county and pose a question. You know, does anybody know of any groups that take day trips that's good for seniors or that's good for 20-somethings? Another baby step, something to keep in mind. When you're building your bucket list, don't make it just a list of places you want to go, like towns, right? Not just destinations, but experiences you want to have. Like I said, I want to go to Italy, but I want to take that course, that 2-week course. That's why I'm going. I also want to go see Pompeii, and I'm also going to take a side trip over to Naples. Those are the things that I want to do when I get to Italy. That's what I mean when I say, don't just think about, well, I want to go to Paris, or I want to go to Lancaster, or I want to go to this place or that. I want to go to the Pearl Buck Museum, right? Add to that bucket list experiences that you want to have. Not just places you want to go, but experiences that you want to have. So here's another step that you can keep in mind. Use the one big, one small rule. So for every bucket list goal that you have that's a big one, choose one small adventure. Okay? For instance, I want to go to Italy. That's a big one. The small one, I want to go see Pompeii. I want to take an Italian cooking course. I think that would be lost on me, but maybe I could do that. Or I want to go do this or go do that. For every big thing you want to do, add a little thing. For instance, big goal, I want to go to Alaska. Little goal, I want to go whale watching. Big goal, I want to write a book. Little goal, take a writing workshop or join, like where I am, there's a number of different writers groups. There's small little groups of anywhere from 10 to 20 people that get together on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and help each other critique their work and help each other learn how to write better if you're writing fiction, right? Big goal, learn photography. Little goal, take your camera someplace new this weekend. And by your camera, it doesn't have to be some fancy schmancy thing that you just bought. It could be everybody's got a camera in their phone. Start taking pictures in a place you've never been before or a place that you've never photographed before. The little goals help you achieve your big goals. And I just want to go back to that Alaska one, right? You always want to go to Alaska, but you want to go whale watching. I would think the desire to go whale watching is stronger than the desire to go to Alaska. If you want to go whale watching, Alaska is a good place to go. It helps you, those little goals or little adventures help you towards getting your main goal. Does that make sense? Now, another thing that people tell you to do is that when you've set a goal for something like this on your bucket list, you should tell somebody. Tell your family, tell your friends. In my case, I am going to tell my friends. I have a couple of friends. I'm going to tell some of them. But I'm not telling my kids because my kids would just think I was out of my mind. So, and I'm not telling my friends right now. I want to make sure I get this part-time job. I want to make sure I have some steps that I've accomplished before I go spreading it all around that this is what I'm going to do, right? But I figured I would come up on YouTube and tell you guys that this is what I want to do and try to get some encouragement from you guys in while you're going through all these steps that I'm, discussing today. I already went through all these steps in preparation of doing this video. So you're helping me because I need to prep for these videos, and hopefully I'm helping you that you're getting some value out of this. If you think this is helpful for you, please hit subscribe because I think I have like 36. I think I have 36 subscribers. And I got one and then I lost one again. So I'm back down to 36. And that gives me some encouragement as well. If you're not sure you want to subscribe, but you like it, at least hit like on it. That helps the algorithm to see that somebody thought that this was worth a like. So you should tell someone. And if you're sort of in my boat where you don't want to tell your family, because you're not really convinced that you're going to be able to do this. And you don't want people saying, oh, how about that trip you were going to take, Just write it in the comments. That's what can help make this Board to Restored group a community. Just tell us. You don't have to tell everybody. Just put in the comments, what is something on your bucket list that you want to do? What's the big thing you want to do? And what's the little adventure that goes along with the big thing you want to do? Write it in the comments. I'd be fascinated. And if you're going to do that, which I hope you do, please also include where you're from. You know, I don't need your address, but what city are you from, or what state are you from, or if you're not from the United States, what country you're from. Just tell us. You don't have to tell everybody if you have the same problems I do. So that would be a great idea if you could just include in the comments what your big goal is and what your little adventure is. I'll be curious to see what you have to say. The reason that it's so important to do that is because it's not just something floating around in your head. You've actually made a commitment to doing this. It might just be a commitment to us, a bunch of people that you don't know. And another thing that could happen if people started to put down in the comments what they wanted to do, I'm going to start asking people to do that every time I do a video and see how successful I am. Because a lot of times it's hard to get people to leave comments. I don't know why. People just won't leave comments. But, something else that you might find is that there might be somebody else who's been watching these videos that wants to do the same thing as you. Or they're in the same town as you. That's why it's important to put down where you're from, basically. If you're in Indianapolis, and there's somebody else in Indianapolis, and both of you are thinking about taking a cooking course, you might want to hook up with each other. And I don't mean that, you know what I mean. Get yourself an accountability partner. You could become friends on here with other people as to who wants to do what. And, frankly, I said, maybe you both want to do the same thing. You don't have to have the same goal. You have totally different goals. But you just check in with each other, right? That might be easier to do on whatever social media have. If you have, Facebook or Instagram or whatever you do. So through social media, you might be able to find an accountability partner. It doesn't have to be somebody real close in your family or your close group of friends. But it can be somebody else who understands the struggle of trying to do something that you've talked about and thought about for years, and now you're finally going to try and do it. It's a struggle. I really commend you if this is what you've decided to do, that you are going to work towards this, because it's hard to do. It's so easy to just push it off and say, ugh, someday. Another thing is, don't expect everything to go perfectly. You might take that trip to Alaska and you're on a cruise or something and everything's fine, and then you take this little smaller boat that's going to go out to check out the whales and you get horribly seasick, Or maybe I get to, I'm taking my classes in Italy and they have this trip to Pompeii where the path is so uneven that I just can't walk it. I just simply can't. I'm going to have to sit and wait for the group to come back because I just physically can't do it. Not everything is going to be perfect. So some might be wonderful and some might be disappointing. Whatever they are, you're going to have stories to tell for years to come because you went and did something that you weren't expecting to do. So another thing I'm going to suggest that you do is that you review your bucket list every month. Pick a date. Have it be the first of the month. Have it be the Ides of the month, whatever the 15th is. Have it be the first Sunday of the month, whenever. Check that bucket list every single month. First of all, it reminds you that you have a bucket list. Secondly, you can add something. In fact, I'm going to add that Pearl Buck Museum thing to mine because I don't think that's on my bucket list. I'm going to put that on. You can cross something off. This isn't like some kind of a contract or something. You can change things. Your bucket list is a reflection of what you want out of life right now, okay? But priorities can change. So you're allowed to cross stuff off, change things, add things. Maybe something new has suddenly become much more important. So add it, right? And here's the biggest secret. Your bucket list isn't really about the things you want to do. It's about the person you want to become. Maybe you want to be more adventuresome, more knowledgeable, more skilled in one area or another. Every time you do something outside your normal routine, you become a slightly different person. You've had a new experience and it changes you a little bit. Maybe makes you think about things that you hadn't thought about before, or you think about them in a new and different way. And that's kind of why I love the title of this group, Bored to Restored, you know? Because boredom isn't always about not having anything to do. In fact, when I was young, I heard somebody say this, and I used to say it all the time. I said it to the kids all the time. When they'd say, "Oh, I'm bored," I'd always say, being bored is an insult to oneself. If you're bored, you basically tell me you can't come up with anything to do? Come on. Sometimes boredom just comes from doing the same things. You know, in another video, I called it a rut, that I was in a rut and I wanted to change that. And I'm in the midst of changing it with your help. Sometimes you're with the same people, the same places, you do things the same way, and sometimes you just want to change that up. You know, life can get very comfortable. And comfortable's not bad, but there's a difference between being comfortable and being stuck. You don't need to quit your job and get a new job. You don't need to move to a new town. You don't need to travel abroad. You don't need to become a completely different person. You just need to start doing some of the things that you've been telling yourself for years that someday you were going to do. Because someday isn't guaranteed. Today is here. Do something today to help you push forward towards that goal that you want to do. Just pick one thing. Earlier, I know I said pick 3 things. Pick 3 things. But some little things, you know, pick one big thing and a couple of little things. Pick something and say, I'm going to do this. And you can determine if it's take a walk in a park that's close to you, you could do that by the end of the day. You figure out how long it's going to take you to do this, whatever things you have picked. The 1, 2, 3 things that you've picked. You figure out how long it's going to take you to do them, and then do them. Set a deadline as to when you're going to get this one, and this one finished and checked off. Anyway, I wish you the best of luck. I hope that you hit subscribe if you like this. I hope you've left a comment or two about what's something on your bucket list that you want to commit to. You're going to commit to doing this. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for sticking around. I wish you the best of luck. I'll be up here next week with another video. And hopefully I can give you some love and you can give me some love. And together we'll try to accomplish something new and different. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.